T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
And we have liftoff. Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy June 11th, my dad's birthday. Welcome to episode number 1755 of the RP Show. Rocking the free world on Game Plus streaming, Silver State Sports, podcast, WQBZ Radio. Shout out Ryan O Radio down there in the U.S. South. The gang is back together. Kevin the Medium is back from Japan. He's ready to talk sports. John Murphy coming up an hour or two. Murph will be with us talking NBA, Stanley Cup Final, and CFL, all the beautiful things that we talk about on this show. As they say, it's the ultimate variety show, and that includes Kevin the Medium because he's very spicy, and spice is the variety of life. Welcome back, Kevin. It's nice to see your smiling face.
Konnichiwa. How are you?
Konnichiwa. What does that mean? Is that what that means? How are you? I don't even know.
It means hello. It's their greeting. It's hello.
Okay. Konnichiwa. I didn't know that. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, how's your Cree? I said, Miigwech. I know that. Thank you. And with that, away we go. It is the warm-up brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. We'll get to Kevin's Japan stories later because we're here to talk sports. And the big story, it's the Rod Pedersen Show. It's not SportsCenter, although I feel like this is leading off SportsCenter as well. A record-breaking comeback capped off by what could go down as a legendary play. The long road back to the top of the NBA is almost complete for the New York Knicks, and the step they took Wednesday night was unforgettable. The Knicks came back from 29 points down and moved to the brink of their first championship of the NBA since 1973 by beating the Spurs 107-106. Kev, I watched it. I was telling you earlier, I've got sucked into the hype. It is an absolute three-ring circus. I feel like you should be tuning in Game 5 on Saturday night, and you can thank me later. But it won't be in New York. It'll be in San Antonio. New York is its own thing. But at halftime, they're like, this is the second biggest lead ever in NBA Finals history. And I'm like, they can't blow this, can they? They did. They did. It was the biggest comeback ever. Yeah. And it's not just the game. I'm like, oh, there's a game going on? After the game, Taylor Swift is on the court. Mariska Hargitay, who I used to have a huge crush on from Law & Order, she's on the court. Yeah, I think everybody did. Yeah, everybody did apparently. Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order. Olivia Benson. What? It was. Please tell me you're at least somewhat following the NBA Finals.
Well, you know what? As you know, I'm not a big NBA fan, but if you're following sports, and you even in Japan while I was following sports, it kept coming up on my feed. So it's impossible not to follow. And they were saying it was probably the most epic event that happened in Madison Square Gardens in the history of the Gardens.
I know. The OG Anunoby tip with, I think it was 1.2 seconds to go, they're saying was the most iconic shot in New York basketball. Yeah. And maybe, yeah. I mean, the Rangers won a Stanley Cup there in 1994. It was not, I'll say it, even as a hockey guy, as iconic as this. Maybe that would be a great poll question. Is Mariska Hargitay still hot? That's a yes from me, dog, from Law & Order. Yeah. I didn't mean to get you confident laughing. Kev, I got you sold for Game 5 yet, Kev?
Well, there's only one problem with Game 5 on Saturday.
The Rider game?
The more importantly, the BC Lion game. You can call it the Rider game. I will call it the BC Lion game.
I don't know how long you're going to last living in the 306, not cheering for the green and white. But yeah, we'll fight. Where there's a will, there's a way. But again, the games anywhere else but there's something about New York. And I'm so glad that you were a very big part as to why I went to New York. Because I was on the fence, and you, of course, are a medium and a fortune teller, and you're like, I see you in New York. Okay, sold. And it was great. But there's a vibe and a culture in New York. Have you been there?
No, it's on my bucket list. Of all the places I've been around the world, New York is still really high on my bucket list.
Well, it's super cool, and New York is a brand. Like Calgary's got a great brand, the cowboy thing and the mountain. Like everywhere has a brand. And I was walking around the Rangers game, and they got New York stuff on sale at the hockey arena, like New York forever. It's cool. It's not my thing, but I can at least appreciate how cool it is. And I enjoyed Game 4 of the NBA Finals last night. So that is the big story. By the way, the Quick Six Show Topics brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the BC Lions when it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway. Trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Kev, just a couple minutes left in this break. We'll get heavy on into the football next segment because I promised the viewers we would. World Cup starts today.
Yes.
The poll question is, are you in it? I think you just betrayed your vote by saying you're into it.
I am. You know what? I didn't think I was, but as we get closer to the Canada game tomorrow, I'm getting excited about it. It's come on, let's face it, it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest sporting event in the world. So how can you not pay attention to it?
Initially, I would have said that I'm not. But you can't escape it. I mean, I'm sitting here in Moose Jaw, and there's billboards for the World Cup. It's tied in with McDonald's. They're like the official fast food sponsor of the World Cup, but whatever. It's literally everywhere. And next Thursday night, with the partnership of our former betting company, Come On Official, Come On Canada, I'm going to be hosting a live stream, and I didn't really understand what it was. We tried to do a live stream. It was when you were in Japan, Moose and I, and it was technically too much of a pain in the ass. This, I've been assured that it won't be that big of a pain. And now I'm getting into it by virtue of that. I see Canada is ranked 33rd of the 48 teams going in. France is ranked number 1, but they're not the betting favorite. Spain is. Team USA is ranked 19th. I'm getting into it. So that's the poll question today. And so far, 100% on Instagram are saying yes. Carlos in Indiana writes in, he says, for the poll, I'll follow the World Cup, but I'm not going to sit there and watch every game, especially not in the early rounds. That's all cool. It reminds me of Tony from Cochrane, who's abandoned us because he says this show's gone to hell. Thanks a lot, Tony. He said, I remember when the bowl season was the bowl season, the 47 college football games in December. He's like, how are we expected to watch all 47 games? Nobody asked you to. So chill out. Anyways, it is what it is. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Canada will stand still tomorrow afternoon more than it has for any hockey. I mean, we got to get with it. We can be the stuck in the muck, crotchety old, shaking your fist at the clouds, or literally get with it. If you'd have said I was going to host a live stream for a World Cup game, I would have probably had you committed. But here we are. Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked. I'm not going to lie. When you said you were doing that, I was like, you doing what?
Well, they came to me, as AC/DC says, money talks. So there's that. But they're like, you have the audience. We'd like to get to your audience to be tuned in. I said, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. So anyways, there's a lot of really cool things going on right now in sports. Everything except the NFL, likely, but there's ironically, but they're slipping into the news as well. We'll be right back. This is the warm-up for Uniglobe Carefree Travel on the RP Show.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
It's the RP Show, Silver State Sports Game Plus streaming. If you're watching streaming, please go down, click like, and share. It helps us out a lot. Poll question for Country Thunder is, are you following the World Cup? Ken in Mississauga says, I'm not, but if Rod is doing a live stream, I will watch and listen. Thank you, Ken in Mississauga. Brought to you by Country Thunder. And from John in Edmonton, he says, Rod, Daryl Sutter could be a possibility for the Oilers head coach job if Mike Babcock isn't available, says Frank Saravelli. John, thanks for that. But get out of it. It's just stupid talk. It's silly. It's fake news. Let's get with stuff that matters. But before we get to the CFL talk, because Kev can't wait, I will say this about the Stanley Cup Final. Game 5 tonight. I'm listening to NHL radio this morning. As I'm out for my walk, Kev, everybody in Moose Jaw knows you see Rod walking. Now I'm like a landmark around here. It's a joke around here. Rod's walking. Where's Waldo? I walk for miles every day. I love it. And I listen to videos. And this morning I was listening to NHL radio. And they said, we got coming up Chuck Caton, the Hall of Fame broadcaster of the Carolina Hurricanes, who are just 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, they are. I was thinking Vegas is only 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. They're both only 2 wins away from Stanley. I just kind of thought it was in the bag for Vegas. It ain't. It's down to a best of 3. Yeah, it ain't. It's got, you're following that, right?
Oh my God, yeah. That goal, the go-ahead goal by Carolina, I think it was Stahl that put it in. Mm-hmm. That is literally should be put onto a clip and shown to every hockey player. That's what it takes to win, that kind of effort, because it made me jump out of my seat. And I have no skin in this game, but it was one of those, holy, how did he do that?
37 years of age. It has been an epic Stanley Cup final. And it's funny because Tim Hunter was on here yesterday. He's like, I still think the 94 Stanley Cup final was. I'm like, well, yeah, you played in it, but that's the one that everybody's talking about is the best ever. Well, you must have, like Mr. Anxiety, sometimes you are when it comes to sports. Did you have your shirt off swinging it, or was that only for World Juniors?
That's only for World Juniors, or when not if, but when my Canucks go on a long run.
Right. Well, okay. I figured. Well, 94. Tim Hunter yesterday was great. He kicked the hornet's nest of the Leafs fans, and they're all mad at Tim Hunter. They're calling me and him. I don't even want to get into it. Stay off social media, kids. Stay off social media, kids. But Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight, so there's that. Okay, here we go. I promised week 2 of CFL. It's point 3 of the Quick Six show topics here. We're the big BC Lions show. All their staff and fans are tuned in. Yeah, finally, it's Vancouver Eric. I don't know where he is, but he did say welcome aboard. It was voted Canada's game of the week. 74% of the viewers yesterday here, Kev said it is Saturday. Before we talk about it, though, let's do picks. Let's do picks for Pump Jacks. Do you mind? I waited all week for you to be here to do it. Hamilton at Winnipeg tonight. Bo Levi versus Zach Caleros. Who wins tonight in Winnipeg?
You know what? I did my picks last night with Jake on our show, and I surprised him because I'm taking Hamilton. I think Bo has something to prove, so he's going to come back, and it's going to be a good game, but I think Hamilton by 3.
I'm going to take the Bombers. Friday night, Toronto at Montreal. Chad Kelly versus Davis Alexander. I'll be around to television for that. What you thinking?
Man, this was a coin flip. I keep going back and forth. Where are they playing?
In Montreal.
I'm taking Montreal.
Okay. I'll take the Argos for a few reasons. It's the first game for Mike Miller, the rookie head coach. I should have spent more time on the game notes today, but it's not Football Friday. He's like the 115th coach in Argos history. Something like it's a lot. Mike Miller.
It's a lot.
He was on this show. The players are he seems like the kind of guy the players are gonna love. I feel like they're gonna want to win it for him. Which, by the way, 2007, Ken Austin. We went into Montreal week 1. Same thing. Guys wanted to win for Ken Austin in 2007. We had a 60-40 run-pass split in that game because everybody thought it was Ken Austin. There's going to be an aerial display. Nope. Kent's like, we got to – who the hell was our back? Must have been Wes Case. He's like, we got a guy here. We got a workhorse. No, it was Henri Childs was his name. Now that – whatever. Don't matter. I'm just saying the Argos are going to want to win. Chad Kelly's going to want to put a best foot forward. Have I got you sold yet? Yeah, that's my pick. Toronto. Kev is staying with Montreal. By the way, best place for CFL watching is Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn. That's where I watch all the games. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. And then BC at Sask. I'm going to be at the game. It's going to be an epic game. It's a West Division final rematch. How bad the Lions going to lose, Kev?
Wow. Why do you got to try to push my buttons like that, Rod? How come?
Because it's easy.
Because it's easy. You know I'm taking my Lions. It's going to be a close game. And I think the fans got it right this week. It is going to be the game of the week. If you have people who aren't CFL fans and you want to show them a CFL game, this is the one to show them because I think it's going to be epic. Close. Could be overtime.
Are you going?
No, we have our grandson's 4th or 5th birthday the next morning. So we just can't make it happen. We tried, but it's just
part-time fan. Part-time fan. Part-time fan. I'm going. This is going to be like Trump coming in for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Me coming into Mosaic Stadium. So much so that we're keeping all the details on the DL. Speaking of New York, Joe Lazito is watching from Long Island as we speak, or he might be in Manhattan, but he writes in, he says, Tim Hunter is on the Mount Rushmore of RP show guests, but I have to disagree on the 1994 Stanley Cup final. That was an abomination. I may be biased as an Islanders fan. Right. So, yeah. And again, Tim played it. For me, you talk about having no dog in the hunt or whatever you said, cat in the race, whatever you said. Calgary, Tampa Bay in 2004 really comes to mind to me as the best. Were you living in Calgary then?
I was. Yes, I was. And that was the rebirth of the Red Mile in Calgary, I'll call it. Everybody thought it started there, but it didn't.
That's right.
It started back in 88, 89. I lived in Calgary then for a short period of time. I was there when they won the Cup. And it was super exciting. It was fun.
Well, it's funny because everybody's talking about how epic the Stanley Cup final has been. And the guys on NHL radio this morning, I just love those guys. I hadn't listened to them since I've been in Canada. I tuned them in, and they just made me feel warm and fuzzy. And they're like, somebody sent a memo to the NBA, said, we need some drama here, guys. We need to match up with the NHL. Oh, how about a 29-point comeback?
Yeah.
Jeff in the zone writes in. He says, "Good morning, Rod. The NBA Game 4 was so fixed, up by 30 points. It's not fixed. We're not going down that road." Monty has written in with his picks. He says Hamilton, Toronto, and Saskatchewan. So I don't know I don't know if it's reached you where you live, but the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stuart Johnston, said on Winnipeg Sports Talk the other day that the Winnipeg is the marquee franchise in the CFL. It's got everybody's heads blowing up around where I live. But I'm like, I've actually been saying that for a few years. How do you feel about that as a BC Lions? You probably think BC is.
No, you know what? If you look at what Winnipeg has done as far as promoting the game in Winnipeg, they by far are heads above everybody else. I mean, they don't sell out every game without doing something right. Other teams should be looking at what Winnipeg is doing. We went to a game a few years back. It was a mean-nothing game at the end of the season, and that place was packed, and it was exciting. People were excited. It was a fun game to be at. So yeah, no, I would have to agree begrudgingly. I think what Omar is doing in BC is amazing, and he's making it relevant in BC again, which is great.
Well, I'll tell you this, and there's a lot of CFL fans tuned in. That's why they're here. I think BC they certainly look like they're tracking towards becoming the CFL's marquee franchise. I'm not telling them anything that they don't know. You need to win, and you need to fill that place. But that is the plan. And by the way, I'm going to be with Amar Doman this weekend. You know the whole story. I think it could happen. But if they did, it would be the first time in CFL history that BC would be the franchise. As long as I've been following the league, you've been following it a little longer than me. Not a lot, but a little longer. It's Winnipeg now. It was Sask from about 2007 to 2019, really. And before that, it was Edmonton since the 70s, right? So for like 40, and before that, I don't even know. Ottawa?
Well,
maybe?
And when you get into the 90s, when did BC Place open? 85, 84? 83. I was close.
We've had this discussion.
We did.
You and I have had this discussion.
We literally would sell out 59,635 seats for mid-season games. So were they winning cup after cup? No. But they did have the attendance going. But so did the league back then. So can they redo that? I hope so. And then add in winning a few. That would be special. You might see a big boy cry.
I really think it could happen. And by the way, that's the thing, because all the people in the CFL are great to me, but it's specifically the BC Lions. And well, here's another one, like score a touchdown in the Caribbean, join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing out of Fort Lauderdale. Kevin's going to be on it. Once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel, neil@uniglobecarefree.ca. I will probably, by the time February rolls around, be on that boat too. I'm one day at a time, man. I'm worried about hosting a live stream for the World Cup next week. I'm not thinking about a cruise in February. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of nice synergies with the CFL, and there's talk of me, people are talking about it. I'm not, about me going back in the CFL full time, but I'm like, I like this right now. This is what we're doing. This is very valuable, what we're doing for the Canadian Football League, and I would like to form a partnership with every team in the CFL to promote the league. Because now you talk about the attendance, which is just not something that you're certainly more than okay to bring it up, but some gal put on Twitter last night, and I retweeted it. She's like, what is with the fascination/fixation with CFL fans and media with attendance? And I did retweet it, and I said, I know, right? And, of course, it spawned a very mild debate from people going, it's a gate-driven league, and it's blah, 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 blah. Well, if that's the case, it would be dead. Clearly, it's not a gate-driven league based on what I see. But I'm like, people are tweeting about the attendance. There's no other league do they do that. No other league do they do that. And I feel like, go ahead.
20 years ago, maybe it was a gate-driven league. It's not a gate-driven league. If it was, probably wouldn't be around. Let's face it. It's a television deal league, and so come on, it is what it is. I'm baffled by the obsession some very small minority, but a loud minority, has with attendance in the CFL, and it's CFL fans. That's what boggles my mind.
And media
fans, media is the same way. It's bizarre to me. I don't get it.
No, like I love Bob Irving, the Hall of Fame voice of the Blue Bombers. He was tweeting how tonight's Bomber home opener is not going to be sold out, and I'm just. But you know what? What do we say here? We're inclusive. Say whatever you want. But I would rather talk about the games. I see Chris Strevler's making this media tour around Winnipeg. He's such an engaging guy. I'm kind of getting a kick out of it because all of a sudden he's going to be the latest and greatest media star. He might actually be able to pull it off because he's so engaging, right? He's got the everything about him. He might be able to do it.
He seems to be a pleasant human being, unlike other non-pleasant human beings that were making themselves a media star. That's all I'll say.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
To coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean Brody and the Reckloss teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at saskpix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, we're back. Kevin the Medium's with us. He's back from Japan. I'm going to try my darndest to keep the comments till after Kevin adjourns after this segment, but there are a few here that have caught my eye. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, there was a basketball game last night. We opened the show with it, Brent. Talked about it for 5 minutes. Where were you? He also says, still have $20 US to see you make a three-pointer behind you, Rod. You're going to have to up it from that. Eric, Vancouver, Eric says, I'm questioning Kevin's Lions loyalty, not going to the game, and you live in Sask. I didn't want to say it. Well, I did say it, but I'll say it again.
There's very few things that will keep me from a Lions game. Grandkids' birthdays, they rate up there. Sorry.
Of course. And I'll be as you say, I'll be repping the RP show there. Kevin's got a family birthday. But I'll say to anybody that wonders about what we're talking about, it's Canada, it's summer. We'll handle the topics. From Puck Empire, one of my favorite Instagram accounts, frankly. I'm going to hold this up to you. There's a photo there, Kev, of Mike Babcock. The title, The Edmonton Oilers deal signing Mike Babcock as head coach is going sideways. In other news, the sky is blue. You understand, morning, buddy. You understand, if they end up hiring Bruce Cassidy, as I predicted 2 weeks ago, I will be doing a victory lap all around the coast of North America. Down California, into Mexico, and around and back up through Florida, out to Newfoundland and back. You know I'll be doing that.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't. I was away. I didn't hear a lot of what was going on, but then I did catch up on it, and I was like, Edmonton's doing what? No, I can't believe it. It's but weirder things have happened. So if Babcock ends up in Edmonton, should we be surprised? I don't know anymore. Nothing surprises me anymore, Rod.
You're the fortune teller. I mean, almost every day somebody says, "Are you surprised by that? Are you surprised?" No. I'm like, nothing surprises me. The only say it now. This Daryl Sutter stuff. It's really crappy, and I blame social media and the internet. We didn't talk about this zany, stupid stuff in the 80s and 90s.
No.
We actually got out and cared about summer sports and, not all this stupid. Now, having said that, the Oilers started this. This wasn't the fans. Don't get it twisted. As Chris Jones was saying, I'll say it again for those that weren't listening or weren't tuned in. The Oilers couldn't wait a week, one more week, and they'd be able to talk to Bruce Cassidy and probably end up hiring him. They couldn't wait. They didn't like being dangled by Kelly McCrimmon because of ego. So they got to go talk to Mike Babcock, and the shit has hit the fan. And all of this is on them. They deserve it all, Kev.
And Babcock must be sitting there going, why? Why did you come talk to me? I was quite happy sitting in the sidelines. Everybody had forgot about what I did. It was gone away. It was buried. Nobody was talking about it. You idiots had to come and talk to me, and now they're doing a full investigation on me. Oh, crap. Can I go to Mexico?
Well, he said last week he was happily retired, and now he's been dragged through the mud again. And I've spent enough talking about this earlier in the week. John Ohm, please tell me you're joking. He just writes in and says, how about that NBA game last night? We talked about it for 5 minutes to open the show. So hit rewind. We'll handle it. Yes. 902-518-3033. By the way, the one thing, can we just go with the flow like everybody? People are making me want to fast forward to the weekend already. In that, at least we have the Stanley Cup Final Game 5 tonight. I don't know where I'll be, but I'll be watching it. I'm thinking, am I going to go to a sports bar or something or watch it? I don't know. Friday night is a blank spot because the NBA Final doesn't get going again until Game 5 Saturday. Game 6 Stanley Cup Final Sunday. I don't know why they space these games out, but cue the hating out there. How come they're not playing Friday? Listen, we got a CFL game Friday, Toronto-Montreal, which reminds me there's also the Blue Jays. And since you're here, let me read point 4. A tough season continued for Blue Jays veteran starter Max Scherzer, who struggled in his return from the injured list on Wednesday's 7-4 loss to the Phillies at Rogers Center. I'll give you credit, Kev. I feel like you've been and when you've been available and able, you've watched every Blue Jays game.
Well, you know what's funny? Even when I was in Japan, I have a little thing on my phone that I can watch Sportsnet, and I even watched a little bit of baseball when I was in Japan of Blue Jays, and it's been a tough season to watch. I'm not going to lie, but last night it was a fun game to watch. Mad Max got it. What was it? 5,000th strikeout in his career. That's amazing. It's insane. So they made a game of it late in the game. Could have come back again in the 9th and win that one, but they didn't. And their big boys need to pull up their socks and actually be big boys before this one gets away.
Stop. You streamed the Blue Jays in Japan. I can't stream them in Moose Jaw.
Well, I'll teach you one day how to do that.
See, everybody, I'm as pure as the driven snow. I don't have a pirate stick or whatever the hell all these guys got. So, yeah, but I was, well, you've been back. You've been gone for 3 weeks. And I producer Corey and I were talking about Japan the other day. I said, I have no interest in going. Edo is as far as I need to go to experience Japan. Edo, Japan, that suits me just fine. But you said the food was great.
The food was great. The people are amazing. And Angela and I had the absolute honor of going to a baseball game in the Nippon Baseball League, the Yokohama Bay Stars, Yokohama DNA Bay Stars. Rod, it was like nothing I've ever experienced. Japan sports are nuts. They literally stood and clapped and cheered and chanted the entire game. They were down 6-1, and it was like they were winning. Every single inning, they were up clapping in a rhythmic clap and chanting. I had no idea what they were chanting, but we stood and clapped and pretended to chant with them. We kind of picked up some of their cheers. It was fun. It's every player in the league has their own song. It's bizarre. Every single player in the league has their own song. It's cool.
Well, you and I have had a good pleasure to have a couple of phone chats this week outside of the show. And you said, as far as the people go, you really, really enjoyed the Japanese people, and that people over here in the West could take a lesson.
North America as a whole could learn a lot from Japanese culture. Just the respect they have for each other, and it was different. I loved it. I would go back tomorrow. I really would. I wouldn't move there. Don't get me wrong. I don't speak a lick of Japanese, and they don't speak a lick of English. Thank goodness I had my phone and I was able to use Google Translate, or else I wouldn't be able to communicate with a soul.
Well, it's what it is. I mean, Brent from Wellington, Florida, and I talk about this quite a bit. I mean, it's a mentality. There's a lot of people that don't ever want to leave Saskatchewan or leave Alberta. There's people in Florida that have never left Florida. They've never left it. And they're my age. Frankly, if you're from there, I get it. And why would I leave here? But I have zero interest in leaving North America. So it's the same mentality, just a little bigger. So, I mean, don't at me. I like it here. I like the weather. I like the life. I like whatever. But I also like hearing your stories and learning from new culture. But, I mean, it would be nice if people would be respectful and polite like Japanese people. I think that horse is out of the barn, Kev. Unfortunately.
I don't think we won't ever get to that point. It's not going to happen. Like, you get on a train in Japan and young kids stand up for older people, like they used to be here many years ago. It amazes me. It pissed me off at one point because someone stood up for me and wanted me to sit down, and I went, "Do I look old?" But I sat
Oh my
down.
God. Right. I get it. I get it all the time. When people are writing in about the clips of me and Tim Hunter yesterday talking about Austin Matthews, they're like, here's two geriatric boomers. I'm like, what? Or, yeah, this young kid I met in the sun in Florida, I never told you he's a young hockey player. He goes, are you retired? I'm like, would it be that obvious? No, I'm not. No. Kids. Anyways, okay, Kev. I'll represent at the game Saturday. You have a great weekend. Good to have you back.
Good to see you. We'll see you next week, my friends.
Viewer takeover the rest of the way this hour. Murph joining us in hour 2. This is the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's just me until the top of the hour, and then in hour 2, Murph joins, and now is the fun part. So it's fun with Kevin, it's fun with Scruffy and the co-hosts and so forth. Tomorrow, by the way, we'll be live at Western Dodge with my good friend Dan Rashovich. It's a wonderful tie-in. Oakland Raiders alum, did you know that? And a Canadian Football League Hall of Famer, Dan Rashovich, with us for 2 hours live from Western Dodge to preview a huge CFL weekend. From the audience, as I get to be the Larry King of sports, Wayne in Victoria. Hello. With a good comment. He says, I love traveling to different countries by cruise ships. That way I only have to unpack once. But it's fun to visit other parts of the world. I'm sure it is. I'm just not mentally there yet. I'm not retired, as I have to remind a lot of people, including Dan Rashovich, who, what did he tell me the other day? He's 65. Let's go for breakfast before at Veroba's. I'm not retired, Raz. The show starts at 10. I'll see you there. I would love to roll around and go for breakfast on a Friday morning to the greatest breakfast place in the West. I got shit to do. Regarding John in Winnipeg, John Ohm, he says, get Strevler on the RP show. We're working on it, and it will happen soon. But here was the thing today. I'm sitting there going, it's the hour 2. The Vegas Golden Knights are everybody wants something, and everybody needs to understand something. As I heard Brian Burke say on NHL radio recently, there can only be one set of hands on the wheel. Just one set. And those are my hands. So since we air in Vegas and the Golden Knights are playing in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup, I was working real hard on a hockey person for hour 2, just so you all know. But the hockey people aren't that available. They take, believe it or not, they take the summers off, which is cool. I'm like, well, I could get Murph because he can talk about the NBA Finals. He can actually talk about anything. He can talk to a squirrel about nuts. And obviously the CFL is his thing, but Murph is great. But I went through the list, and you have to understand. And then I got Panthers fans up my ass saying, how come you're wearing Golden Knight stuff? I thought you were the Panther guy. Again, the show airs in Vegas every night in prime time. Like Ray Elgard was pretty pumped that interview with him on Tuesday aired in prime time in Vegas. He's a big deal with all his buddies there all around Las Vegas because when we air in Palm Beach County, I'll be wearing Panthers gear on the show. But we aren't at that day yet. So there is a little bit of thinking that goes into this. And once the Stanley Cup is over and the Vegas season is done, as far as hockey, we'll probably bring on Chris Strevler because he's got that NFL angle, as I said, plus the CFL. But there is actually a little bit of planning that goes to this. Shocking, I know. Vintage Sasko writing in on the Western Dodge text line, which will be there live tomorrow, as I say, with Raz. But drive with confidence, shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. He writes in at 902-518-3033. He says, hi, Father Rodney and Lionheart Hughes. This Saturday's Lions-Riders game could be the game of the decade. To butcher a quote from the canceled Ray Elgard, it's going to be freaking hot. See you there. Signed Vintage says, is it going to be hot temperature-wise, or are you just saying it's going to be lit like Strevler says all the time? And by the way, I don't think Ray Elgard has been canceled unless I missed something. Corey told me, producer Corey, that they ran the interview the other day just as is. Nobody said a damn word. Yeah, they didn't have a problem with it. Brian in Winnipeg writes that he says, yes, Strevler is the best. Seeing him on this show would be great. So we're working on that. It's just there can only be one set of hands on the wheel. I mean, the one thing that's really percolating in the back of my mind as a Florida hockey fan is the report that Connor Hellebuck would like to be traded to Florida, if that's to be believed. There is so much fake news going on, and I don't have a lot of energy. Like for me, as Brenton Wellington knows if he's still watching, Wellington, Florida, I'm around Bob every day. I don't want to see him go. This has become a really big thing in South Florida. Are they going to show Bob the door and bring in Connor Hellebuck? But you don't care about that, so that's why we're not talking about it here today. 902-518-3033. EJ writes in from Quebec and says, Riders versus BC on Saturday. Oh, thank you. Oh, my God. I didn't even know. Did you guys know the Riders are playing BC on Saturday? Sports update. The Knicks pulled off a comeback for the ages on Wednesday night, rallying from a 29-point deficit to beat the Spurs 107-106 and take a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. For the numpties that showed up late, we spent 5 minutes on it to open the show as the big story. So we got it. Maybe show up on time. Point 2 of the sports update. Canada's Secretary of State for Sports has dismissed concerns about the cost of co-hosting the FIFA World Cup and is hyping up the opportunity for Canadians to engage with a tournament across the country. Adam Van Coverden, a former Olympian, told the Canadian press Wednesday he is excited for the event to finally start. I'm smiling because of this. Everybody needs to take 3 deep breaths. Woosah, and really calm down. And that includes the host. I was talking to my sponsor, Bob, the other day. Big soccer guy. His niece plays in that women's league. So he got a big old kick out of the fact that I'm going to be hosting a live stream for Canada-Qatar next week. Soccer. And I said, okay, Bob, assuming that I know absolutely nothing about the World Cup, which I don't, what do I need to know? First things out of his mouth. Oh, there's a huge uproar. The referee from Somalia couldn't get into the country. Trump wouldn't let him in. There's clashes in Mexico. There's protests here. They're all pissed off across Canada because of the cost of hosting this thing. I'm like, it's kind of not really what I meant. Like, who's the top-ranked team? What's Canada ranked at? What's USA ranked at? Where are the games going to be? How many countries are there? How many pool? Like, every single thing was a bitch fest with this soccer tournament. And to be honest, because I know nothing about it, and I'll be spending the weekend getting ready to host this live stream next week, it's kind of what I see about the CFL. If you just did a quick search, what's all the talk about the CFL? Attendance, bitching about rule changes, but it's just so distasteful. Don't want to get into it. Continuing on the sports update, the San Francisco Giants staged the comeback of a lifetime against the Nationals on Wednesday, turning a 9-1 deficit, entering the 8th inning into an 11-10 victory. Thanks to a walk-off grand slam from rookie Bryce Eldridge, the win snapped a 4,291-game losing streak by teams down 8+ runs in the 8th inning or later. That is a literal, how about that? Glenn writes in from Medicine Hat, and thank you, Glenn. You were literally like the last guy I would think that would be following this, but he writes in and says, the Knicks' comeback win last night is just another example of why live sports is absolutely the best version of reality TV. Well, we certainly all think that way, Glenn, and that's why you're tuned in here today. And I mean, I do understand the complaining about the streaming with the CFL to a degree, to a point. It comes down to how much do you love it? Because what I can tell you is if I had to pay to watch the Knicks and Spurs on a Wednesday night, NBA Finals or a regular season game in December, I'm not paying for it. But it was on cable, so I watched. And I'm assuming, Glenn, you're the same. That's why that story isn't done being written yet. Our story isn't done being written yet. I don't know where this is all going. I mean, I get a kick out of this. Linear TV's dead. Everything's going streaming. You've been saying that for at least 15 years, yet we're still watching our TVs. So you don't know, Rod. We know. What makes you know? That's what I would like to know. What qualifies you? 902-518-3033 is the text line. The Kansas City Chiefs have added 2 years to Patrick Mahomes' existing contract, which will keep the two-time MVP in Kansas City through 2033 on a deal valued at $504 million. Back to this. Spurs game at MSG was the most watched NBA Finals Game 3 since Bulls Jazz in 1998, averaging 23.8 million viewers. So that was Monday's game, the one that Trump was at. Serena Williams' first tournament back has been cut short after her doubles partner, Victoria Mboko, injured her knee in Wednesday's singles match, forcing the pair to withdraw from today's quarterfinal at the Queen's Club Championships. USC is hiring a director of AI to join its coaching staff, with last season's director of football analytics, Connor McQuiston, being elevated into the first-of-its-kind position. The exact parameters of the role are unknown at this time. Director of AI. I feel like we need to get Janice back on the show to explain some of this stuff, because I don't really get it. Where we're at and where we're going with AI. John Ohm says, I'm here for the ride, Rod, but occasionally I like to grab at the wheel and get you to pull over to see the sights. I know you do. You try that the next time you're riding the bus. See how that turns out. Murph will be with us to talk about all of these things, but there will be a big week 2 CFL preview. I mean, everybody else is talking about their thing, and we try to stay in that lane of NHL, CFL, NFL, and the beautiful thing is Murph can talk about it all. We'll be right back with hour 2 after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Happy Thursday, everybody. You thought I was going to sing happy birthday, didn't you? It is my dad's birthday. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports, and we're almost to the weekend, but we got a lot of big things coming up between now and then. I pray you can just hang on. Our good friend John Murphy is coming up. He's from New York. He told us last time he was on that he grew up just a couple of miles from the Nassau County Coliseum. He's all excited about, well, football. He's a four-time Grey Cup champion in the Canadian Football League, done a lot of work in and around the NFL draft. John Murphy is a football guy. He's coming up in the next segment. But as we welcome the viewers across Nevada, yes, it's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight, and we got you covered on that coming up. But let's get going with the warm-up, brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the CFL's BC Lions. Point one is what everybody's talking about. Listen, we're going to get to the hockey, but a record-breaking comeback capped off by what could go down as a legendary play. The long road back to the top of the NBA is almost complete for the New York Knicks, and the step they took Wednesday night was unforgettable. The Knicks came from 29 points down and moved to the brink of their first championship since 1973 by beating the San Antonio Spurs 107-106 in Game 4 of the Finals on OG Anunoby's tip-in with 1.2 seconds to go. What did I tell you going into Monday's Game 3, which incidentally they say is the most watched Game 3 in 30 years. There's a lot of hype around this series, and it's definitely a New York thing. I mean, I don't think we're going to get in San Antonio for Saturday's Game 5 what we saw in Games 3 and 4 in New York. But this is just spellbinding stuff. I got sucked in because of the hype, and Trump was going to be there. In retrospect, maybe Trump was the jinx that night for the Knicks. In Game 4 last night, halftime, I see the panelists say second NBA history. And I'm like, they can't. They're not going to blow this, are they? They did. As I just said, Knicks coming back from 29 points down to win this thing, and now they're one win away from winning the NBA championship. But we're in a really, really weird time right now. Have you felt it? Can you sense it? We try to take you as much as we can out of that world for an hour a day here on Silver State Sports, 2 hours every day on Game Plus and the RP Show. There's good and there's bad. I would say this is good, but still weird. Did you see who was on the court celebrating after the Game 4 win last night for the Knicks? Taylor Swift, which isn't, to me, a real big deal, but Mariska Hargitay? Olivia Benson from Law & Order? Who I have no problems with Mariska Hargitay, but I was talking to my good friend Chris from the Bronx, probably watching right now. He's like, these Knicks fans are driving me nuts. And he's from the Bronx. I said, oh, my God, tell me about it. He goes, they come out of the woodwork. And the next is Mariska Hargitay. But, you hear me talk about my spiritual coach, Lisa, in South Florida. My advisor. She reminds me of Mariska Hargitay. They look very similar, and Lisa's from Manhattan. So anyways, it was nice to see her jumping around on the court. I'll remind New York, you haven't won anything yet. But even the pundits are saying the Knicks are going to win this thing. And Murph and I will talk about that a little bit when he comes up in the next segment. Yeah, he's here to talk football, but he's a Long Island guy. And as he pointed out, he said the Knicks have never won a championship in his lifetime. So, yeah, they're pretty excited. Good for them. It's been fun to follow. By the way, the guest segment daily is brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, a barn, a rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca. Now, point two of the Quick Six. While a lot of you have come here today, this is Vegas's favorite hockey show. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup going tonight. Vegas Golden Knights at Carolina. I've put it in my commentary, which you can read every day at rodpedersen.com if you're not able to tune in, which you should be every day. But in case you don't, I said in the commentary, which runs across Sask Radio, that I'd hoped the Golden Knights would have this thing in the bag by now. I'd mentioned earlier in the week that if Carolina pulls this thing out, I'll be happy for them, but I'm not rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'm sitting there like a lot of people that want to see the VGK win this thing saying, oh, they're only 2 wins away from it. 2 wins away. They can do that. And this morning I'm listening to NHL radio, and the hosts, Scott Laughlin and Gordy Stellick, which made me feel real great to tune them in again. I haven't listened to them for a couple of weeks. They said, we're Chuck Caton, the Hall of Fame voice of the Carolina Hurricanes and formerly the Hartford Whalers, as the Canes are just 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, oh, wait. They are too. They're looking at it the exact same way. This is not by a nose somebody's out front. This is a dead heat, best of 3. And what I will say, but does Game 4 not feel like it was a month ago? It does to me. It was only Tuesday night, which Carolina won 5-3 with an empty net goal in Vegas. But that wasn't a good game played by the Vegas Golden Knights. They are good for, one of those every 2 series? A stinker, which it was a stinker. Maybe Tim Hunter was on here yesterday, which, by the way, he has pissed off all of Canada. Our Leaf Nation, which feels like all of Canada because they're so loud with his comments about Austin Matthews yesterday. But as he said, there's so much analysis. I feel like 2% of it is actually correct or worth listening to. Vegas did not control the hockey game the other night. Yeah, I was broadcasting baseball and didn't see it, but I saw the scores. How do you say they controlled it when they were down 2-0 in the first period? Anyways, it wasn't a good game for them. And my point is they don't usually do those back-to-back. We're all going to be watching tonight for Game 5. No lineup changes for Vegas. Carolina, I'm sure, going back with Brandon Bussey and goal. It's been an epic Stanley Cup. That was the one thing with the chat with Tim Hunter yesterday. And a lot of fun talking about the greatest Stanley Cup finals of all time. He's in the one that he played in the one that everybody feels, or a lot of people feel, was the greatest Stanley Cup final of all time, 1994, Vancouver Canucks, New York Rangers, the infamous guarantee by Mark Messier, which wasn't even in that Stanley Cup. It was at the conference final right against New Jersey. We will win tonight. And they did. Based on one guarantee, one statement, Mark Messier goes into the annals of history as the greatest captain of all time. And I can't even argue it. By the way, 902-518-3033. Talking about maybe Donald Trump was the bad luck charm for the Knicks in Game 3. I don't know. It just lines up. Brent in the Bridge City writes in. He says, I'd rather talk sports than politics by far. That's why we don't do that here. John Ohm from Winnipeg writes in. He says, RP show is my escape and therapist. Game on. Well, I'm not legally allowed, just so you know, to call myself a therapist nor a counselor, but I am a certified coach. Oh, Vancouver Eric. Thank you, Eric, for getting me back on track. Vancouver Eric writes that. He says, is it not the best time of year in sports, RP? So much going on, and add in some World Cup. That is exactly what I put in my commentary today. And what's funny about that is I've long said the springtime is the best time of the sports calendar. Did you notice we kind of slipped into summer and nobody really noticed? It's June. The NHL season's been extended. The NBA season's been extended. The CFL season was moved up as the earliest start time it's ever had in its 100 years. So we're in the best time. Who would have ever said summer's the best time? And here we are. As a matter of fact, the only league that's not playing is the NFL, and they're in the news too. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Game 5 tonight. For the Pump Jack picks, Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn, come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. If Vegas is to win this in 6, which was my pre-series pick, they're going to have to win tonight. So that's an easy one for me. Vegas to win tonight in Game 5, go home Sunday night, and wrap it up in the Fortress. Thank me later. Point 3 of the Quick 6 show topics for Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the BC Lions. We did it last hour when we were streaming, and we still are on Game Plus TV's YouTube feed and the RP Show. Canadian Football League. We're big CFL guys, always have been. Week 2 kicks off tonight. Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I picked Winnipeg to win tonight. Friday night, the Toronto Argonauts at the Montreal Alouettes. There's nothing else going on Friday, so you can watch. Everybody can watch it on CFL Plus in the States or TSN in Canada. Toronto Argonauts at the Montreal Alouettes. I picked the Argos to win. It's the first game for the first-year head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Mike Miller. The boys are going to want to get him a win. Believe me, don't think that isn't a thing. And Saturday voted Canada's Game of the Week by you, the viewers. BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. What did I pick? We never even wrote. It's easy, though. Kevin the Medium, our Hour 1 co-host, will take his Lions, and I'll take my team, the team for which I worked for 20 years, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Those are our picks for Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. By the way, the daily poll is for Country Thunder. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. Just $20 down secures your weekend pass. You're saying, well, you're telling us what the sponsor is, but what's the actual question? The actual question is, are you into the World Cup? Can somebody tell me, because I don't have the access to, well, I could get what the vote is on Instagram. And as I open my Twitter, I got NHL news in my face, which I'll read that to you here in a second. The biggest tournament in the history of soccer, uniting 48 nations for 104 games across 3 host countries, begins today in Mexico City. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will feature a trilogy of opening ceremonies, each reflecting the diversity of its host nation. The tournament opens with a star-studded lineup. The ceremony, featuring performances by Shakira and Burna Boy, will precede the first game of the tournament, with Mexico facing South Africa. LA hosts the U.S. men's national team opener against Paraguay on Friday. The poll question is, are you into the World Cup? And I don't know what the YouTube vote is. I'll look that up in a sec, but I can tell you the Instagram vote is 100% yes. And I'm going to tell you, that surprises me a little bit, but I'm happy to report it. Continuing this, by the way, the U.S. men's national team could make an historically deep run, but the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, war in Iranian players' home country, and high ticket prices could overshadow America's legacy as host. Well, there's a lot of people going to try and make it overshadow America's legacy as host, and just so you know, Canada and Mexico are hosting games too. I mentioned this last hour. I'll mention it again. My sponsor, Bob, my 12-step sponsor, Bob, is a huge soccer guy. So I called him the other day, and I said, what do I need to know about this thing? Because I'm going to be hosting a live stream next Thursday with our official betting partner, Come On Official. That's the betting company, Come On Official. I'm hosting a live stream for Canada versus Qatar. I said, what are the things that I need to know about the World Cup? Give me a crash course. A referee couldn't get into the U.S. because of Trump's visa ban. It's coming from Somalians. Somalians can't get into the States. There's clashes in Mexico, and there's protests, and everybody's bitching about the cost of hosting this thing in Toronto and Vancouver, and the ticket costs are too high. I'm like, do you have anything to report about the actual games? Is this a media stirred up crap fest? A monkey poop fight at the zoo? Because that's what it's kind of feeling like. What about the actual games? Oh, well, we got into that. The number 1 ranked team is France. We got the daily poll thing. Thank you, producer Corey. Spain has the best odds to win the whole thing. Team USA is ranked 19th out of it all. Canada's ranked 33rd. The final will be played July 19th. So, yeah, there's some exciting things going down. Soccer's new to me, but I'm going to be up to speed by next Thursday when we're hosting this live stream. And, you know, it's a story and a lesson for another time, but adapt or die, man. If you'd told me not that long ago that I'd be approached by a betting company to host a live stream, I would have had you committed. I would have said, what are you on? But the betting company said, hey, you got a big audience? And we've worked with them years ago. They're like, we liked working with you before. Let's do it again. Giddy up. Let's go. Jeff writes in from Tirana. He says, summer will be exciting for me. World Cup, CFL starting up, MLB, and finals in the NBA and NHL. Like I say, spring used to be the best time, which frankly, it really still is, because we're talking about, in the hockey world, the Memorial Cup, the Centennial Cup, all the various leagues, they're all long gone. We wouldn't still be playing hockey right now, or at least wouldn't have been starting the Stanley Cup final in June if it wasn't for the Olympics. Glenn writes in from Medicine Hat. He says, proud to say I've watched exactly one half of an NBA game this season. Thankful for my impeccable timing. Yes, Glenn. What made you do that, by the way? What made you tune that in? I'm interested to know. Hype got me watching. Bob writes in. He says, g'day, Rod. Bob from the Hat. Can't wait for Saturday. Riders game. Have a great day. That's what I said. Everybody's all horny for the weekend. Can you just hang on? Because there's a few things coming up between now and then. Murph joins us next for Prairie Panels. This is the RP Show on Silver State Sports Game Plus streaming.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I asked Glenn in Medicine Hat before, why did you tune in? First NBA game all year. He tunes in at halftime of Game 4 halftime. He says, I saw the score and wondered what kind of carnage the crowd at MSG might create in the second half. I know, it's demented. He wanted to see the traffic accident. It didn't happen, Murph. Your Knicks, 1 win away.
At least maybe last night for most Knicks fans probably wiped away the 42 missed shots from John Starks and Rolando Blackman the last time they were in a position like this. I said, when you can correspond and say the OJ chase happened the last time the Knicks were in the fight, like 1999, that's you can't really complain if you're a New York sports fan. You've seen enough championships between the Yankees, Giants growing up, but never ever having seen a Knicks basketball championship and seeing what this team has done, you kind of got excited by the chance in the third quarter. But, even to imagine when you're watching replays today, they're still down 7 in the last 2 minutes of the game. Right? It's incredible for the kind of the lightning striking there at MSG. And I think there'll be a number of orange and blue fans in the arena on Saturday night in San Antonio.
4-time Grey Cup champion John Murphy is here, and we're going to get to the football, but he's our football analyst. But you got away. I meant to ask you last week, and I forgot. Not based on who's winning. What is the sports team pecking order historically in New York over the last 100 years?
I mean, I would say it's probably always been Yankees. And then I think the Knicks, in terms of if you really got the hardcore sports fans, they would say watching the Knicks or Rangers win would be right up in their, element. I loved forever. It was heartbreaking when the Rangers won because I loved being able to shout 1940 for my entire, teenage and early adulthood at every Ranger Islander wrestling match. And I love the Islanders because most of those guys, lived around us when we were growing up. They interacted with us the same way that, fans interact with the Riders and all the local hockey kids that are playing all over the city and all over the, province. So the Islanders to me were, second to none. And then I think after that, it's kind of where you have angled your stuff, right? Because in New York, the football teams went to Jersey. The Jersey basketball team is now in Brooklyn, and for a while you had to go take 2 trains and a pathway to get to see the Islanders when they were in movement with things. But I think it's always going to be a kind of a Yankees, Knicks, Rangers, and then Jet Giants is kind of being there. And if the Jets ever, and I mean ever, have a run like this, you will see all the Jets fans flood back out and into the streets the way you're watching the Knicks.
I don't think we have to worry about that, though, Murph,
Probably
at all. No, probably not. And before we get to that CFL stuff, you're a hockey fan, but not a hockey guy. I'm interested what your purview is, your perspective of the Stanley Cup final, the most goals scored in 30, 40 years. And I said goal. Everybody's, not just me, said the goals were going to be at a premium. It's been an epic series. What's it look like to you?
Well, I think the crazy thing is, and you always see it, right? We saw last night with Alvarado, right? And Alvarado is kind of the galvanizer for that comeback. And then OG Anunoby, if you're a Raptors fan or a Canadian basketball fan, right? OG was already somebody everybody knew about. But I think when you're talking about goals, and that's been the number one thing, in the finals, and now in the last game and a half, it's been Brandon Bussey, New York's own Brandon Bussey, as a matter of fact. But, when you see his story and you see the way that he got to the NHL, Western Michigan, not exactly a powerhouse, right? Playing a couple of different stops in minor league hockey. And then what a great guy right behind the scenes. He's huge into supporting autism and doing a lot of big things in a community. And to see his parents at those games, right, where you think you're just going to the game because you're on the team and suddenly you're thrust into the moment and saying you're going to play and possibly even be the turnaround reason why the Hurricanes come back and possibly now have a shot to win this. it's a great story, right? That, hockey always kind of has that guy, that becomes the playoff hero. And it's going to come down to possibly Mitch Marner, or Brandon Bussey. I'm not sure anybody had that on their, hockey scorecard for this year.
Thank you, Murph. Game 5 tonight, Golden Knights at Carolina. As I said, if Vegas is going to win this in 6, which was my pre-series pick, they got to win tonight, so I'll take him to win. So from the audience, Joe Lazito is watching. He says, preach, Murph, preach. Let's go, Islanders. Vancouver Eric says, Giants and Jets are bigger than the Rangers. Murph's from New York. We've given him the floor. He's got the last word. Mark Gundry's watching in Florida. He says, Murph, long time since Sask, my friend. Football guy, Mark Gundry, tuning in here today. So, okay, listen, we're going to talk some Canadian Football League here. And the Vegas viewers, they're going to learn about some CFL stuff here. Coming out of week 1, before we look at week 2, coming out of week 1 with Montreal winning in overtime at Hamilton, Winnipeg winning on a walk-off field goal at Calgary, and Edmonton slapping around Ottawa in a downpour in Ottawa. Those were the games. What did you see?
Well, I think, it's clear that until you are able to knock out Montreal with Davis Alexander as the starting quarterback, they're carrying that little sort of, Bo Levi kind of trend with them the way that he did in Calgary, right? 11-0, now 12-0, right? Things start happening. The ball starts bouncing your way, and you're confident that when Davis has a chance to make a play, he's going to make a play. It put them in a very good position, right? Because now they play a home game this week. They could be 2-0 with 2 division wins. That would be huge for them. I think the Winnipeg-Calgary, you've seen that game, other than that one time last year where there was a 10-point difference. That's always a slugfest, literally down to the last 3 minutes of the game. So I think you see both of those clubs have their style of how to win. And when they keep to it, that's the team that's going to win, right? If the Bombers go and start throwing the ball around the yard in the second half of the game and don't have their offense on the field, they'll have moments like Calgary did in the second half of their game last week. Because, Mills goes from 90-plus yards in the first half to finishing with under 120. That's not the style of play in the second half that's going to win games. And you don't want Vernon Adams standing back there getting plucked the way that he did a couple of times. Serezna introduced himself on a number of occasions there in the second half. So you're going to want to clean that up from an offensive line standpoint. But I think that's what you saw there. I still think it's too early to make a final judgment. Edmonton's defense looked good. The O-line is massive, right? And anytime you have Mark Corte as your number 6, you at least have some really quality O-line depth. You're going to win some football games. Rankin, Cody knows how to play. And if that defense plays like they did last week, it offers Edmonton a chance to be competitive. I'm not sure Ottawa knows what they have yet offensively until you get a clean game. But it would be interesting to see how into Jake Meyer are you if you get to halftime this week and you got 10 points or less in week 3. Do they make that swap, right? So I think Ottawa benefits. You don't ever want that week 1 or week 2 bye week. But what this allows them to do is kind of get a handle of what they have. And now going into their next game, kind of have a chance to see what adjustments they would make. And do they go to Drew Brown quickly if Meyer continues to struggle?
That's with Ottawa. And about tonight's game, Hamilton Tiger Cats at Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the home opener for Winnipeg. U.S. viewers can watch it on CFL Plus. I know that's what you'll be tuned in on. You talked last week about picking winners, and you said quarterback play, whether it's a single game or just standings throughout the league. You said whoever stays healthiest, right? I mean, is that really what it comes down to? I'm sitting there going, Murph, there's 43 other guys on the roster. But is it that simple?
I think it is when you say the things about what happens to a CFL team and roster and franchise, when you're looking at the cap and the amount that those mainstream quarterbacks make, if you lose that player, it's almost an impossibility to then juggle your roster around to get somebody that's going to come in and play as well like Nick Arbuckle, played the last year and a half. That doesn't happen often. Right. But even with his level of play, when you're missing that component, it changes your atmosphere. It changes how you call the game. It changes how you do things on defense and special teams because you're trying to make up for those plays. Right. 2 years ago, all of a sudden, there's kick returns and punt returns and defensive returns all over the place. And the Argos survived the first half of the season, with average quarterback play. But now last year, you don't see that happen. And some of those things start happening against you. And those same games that were very winnable and could have changed the final outcome of those seasons go the opposite way. Like I said, if you play those 2 Montreal games and Davis Alexander isn't playing and you're not getting those defensive turnovers, now all of a sudden Montreal, who had those wins early, were able to stabilize themselves by having a downtime while Davis was out, right? If you lose those 2 games early, now you're always coming from behind and chasing down your season. And that's why I think tonight is huge. It's week 2. No reason to hit the panic button, but, Hamilton is one of those cities that, they're either going to be, the highest of the high or the lowest of the low. If you start off 0-2, it does make things difficult because you then have to find a way to capture some games later in the season on the road, and you're going home to play a week 3 opponent that's going to feature Nathan Rourke, right? So you will be put right in the line of fire early. But I think the Hamilton, for what we saw, was not having Greg Bell, not being able to establish the run, and then not getting the pass rush that they had last year, at least not week 1. They didn't get it. Those are things you're going to have to set the tone with tonight. And like I've said, have had a huge, wonderful experience, in Winnipeg, pro and con, and a lot of times it was con, but the ball just bounces a certain way in Winnipeg because how they play, they make the ball bounce their way, right? Good teams make the ball bounce their way. We talked about it the second half of last season with the Riders, and notoriously, since Mike O'Shea has been the coach, in Winnipeg, that ball bounces the right way because they all run to the football on defense. The Canadians play really hard. Their depth players are exceptional on special teams. And then he is really good with his in-game adjustments and being able to really speak to his players. So I'm anxious to see tonight because Bo Levi is going to need a lot more production out of his big players in order to keep the Bombers at bay.
4-time Grey Cup champion John Murphy is with us. He's a Long Island guy. We'll take some NFL questions as well if that's what people are into. But Friday night, Toronto Argonauts at Montreal. I picked the Argos based on a couple guys that got a lot to prove. Mike Miller's making his coaching debut, the longtime Steelers assistant, and Chad Kelly. We all know the story. But maybe I'm wrong. Change my mind, Murph. What goes on in Montreal Friday night?
Well, I think what you're going to see is I won't be surprised if they're very active up front in terms of showing a lot of different fronts to Chad early. Let's see if they can move him off his point. How comfortable is he making off-platform plays, which is something he's excellent at doing because he has an arm that can hit every throw in the league. They're without Jake Herslow, right? And Jake was not only super productive last year, but since Jake spent his early time on the practice roster, a returning Chad Kelly was often throwing, and working out with the younger players as he was able to. And Jake was one of those guys. So I think, he's a safety blanket, security blanket for that. They're playing with lesser experienced running backs. Now that cannot affect the ground game. But as we saw last week at times, Larry Roundtree got, a little bit overwhelmed with some of the different things that you can do. And that's what Noel Thorpe is excellent at, right? What he is probably the best at right now in the league is that he comes up with those Echeverry, Chris Jones, look for that matchup and then use it. He'll send a boundary half, then he'll send the field corner, then the Sam and Will are coming. So he does a lot of different things. And I would expect early for Montreal to try to throw as many different things at Chad early to see exactly what level of Chad Kelly are we getting, and then a retooled offensive line. And then, like I told you last week, I'm anxious to see the defense has a lot of guys that know each other and have played together at different places in the past. Can those guys turn a corner and really rally around those relationships and play well early? Suddenly, maybe Toronto has a little bit of ability to win a couple of games here on the road. But it'll be a huge thing for them. If they were to come out and win a game in Montreal against a team that really handed us our lunch last year on a couple of occasions, then this 6-game road trip now suddenly becomes 5, right? And you're going to have to pull out all the ammunition you have. And, I'll be hoping that Coach Miller has some really good speeches, prepared because 6 road trips, in a row is nothing to get, kind of laugh at there. But I really am interested in the Mike Miller versus Noel Thorpe aspect of it, because not only are you going into it as the head coach, this time everything's in your hands, and that's a little bit different than just being the quarterback whisperer and caretaker for the quarterback. Now you have the entire room, to yourself. So it'd be really interesting to see how they come out on the road in Montreal against a defense that's really going to play fast.
I should remind the viewers, by the way, 4-time Grey Cup champion John Murphy with us in this space Friday. Oakland Raiders alum and CFL Hall of Famer Dan Rashovich will be joining us as well to tell some old Raiders, Al Davis stories, and more on week 2 in the Canadian Football League. Canada's game of the week, Murph. We got 4 minutes left. Saturday, BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. What do you see?
Well, I think, what is it, 28 or 29, depending on health, of the 45 guys that were on the Grey Cup winning team last year are back. Now, that still leaves a substantial change, and some of it defensively, for them. So how do they play stylistically early? Like I said, I think one of the things going for the Riders is having Corey and Josh Bell in those roles in that space allows them to play to the talent, play to the player's strength early. And then if you make some adjustments as the season goes on, I think they'll get back to the style of play that they would prefer. Micah Johnson is no longer on the field. He's still on the field, but unfortunately he's not running on the field anymore, but he's in the locker room. He's with the guys. So I think that can help balance some of the younger players that they have playing there. But this, again, comes down to, do you stop Nathan Rourke? Early last year, nobody did. Are you able to man up against their wide receiver content that BC has? That's interesting. And then we saw the last time BC played, their defense let them down. And I think that's where you're going to have to make your mark early this season. And this is a great opportunity on the road. You have your guy who's, the MVP, number 1 player in the league. But what this will come down to at different points of the season, week 1, mid-season, and down the stretch, is if BC cannot get stops and can't get teams off the field, then you're going to have another season of 5,000 yards of offense out of Nathan Rourke, and possibly a lot of broken hearts out in Vancouver.
I don't know why it is, and we don't have a lot of time, but a good friend of ours, Johnny Avello from DraftKings, says home field doesn't mean anything anymore in any league of football, any level. Why is that?
I mean, the cap in the CFL has made that be altered, where, the good players are everywhere now. And really what ends up being the tiebreaker is, how do you get your young Americans and Canadians up to speed by Labor Day? So I think at times that's part of it. And the other part of it is that, hey, we do still, and it talks about it too much in the CFL about ticket sales and how many people are in the stands and such. But because the CFL is also one of the most well-traveled leagues in terms of, you see Rider fans at Ottawa, Toronto, anytime they've done something, you see Calgary and Edmonton fans go out east for the summer. I think that's part of it too, that sometimes your home field advantage is nullified by the factor that the other teams have a lot of fans in your home stadiums.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense. All right, Murph, short and sweet. Thanks for the visit. Enjoy the games. I appreciate it, man. We'll do it again soon.
You got it, brother.
4-time Grey Cup champion John Murphy joining us as we preview week 2 in the CFL. We'll get to more college and NFL with Murph as the summer moves along. Stick around, everybody. We got a sports update coming up right after this, as well as viewer takeover. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here. Western Dodge text line. It is the RP Show on Silver State Sports. Pardon me. As well as Game Plus streaming, YouTube Live, podcast, and WQVZ.
Ready for a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth the team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center.
Now.
The Gene Simmons Band, performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Sask Tigs.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. This would normally be the time that we'd get into a sports update right now, but I'm just having so much fun shooting the breeze with you, the viewers. Now I get to be the Larry King of sports again. Eric in Vancouver, hello. He writes in, I learned so much listening to this guy. Good guest. Yes, Murph is a fantastic guest, longtime friend of mine, 4-time Grey Cup champion from Long Island. I had a buddy who says he's not much of a buddy because he says he never watches this show. His name's Mike Lee. He's always golfing. He's a really close friend of mine. We were having supper one night at Rosie's on River Street this summer, and he goes, how often do you have people asking to get on your show? I said, every single day. So, and we don't put on Rudy Poos, as you know. We only put on good guys and gals, and that includes John Murphy. And we'll see. When I say gals, here's the change in the sports business, by the way, because I got a lot of great friends, female friends in the sports business too, sports media. They're all working. They're always working. I've been trying to get Julie Stewart-Binks on for a real long time, and she's been on many times. She's at Sportsnet New York, and she'd have been in Murph's spot here today, but I said, JSB, can we get you on? She's like, I'm sorry, I was up late. I didn't get to your message. I'd filled it by that point with Murph. She's like, I'm covering the Knicks. It's not 1975 anymore. The women are all working. It's a good thing. John Ohm writes in, here's the other thing with the sports update and the breaking news. He says, heli to Florida, just announced. And then he writes, oh, sorry, fake news. That's, again, do you not get tired of this? Because I get real tired of it. I've said it many, many times. Say it with me. I get off the air at noon Eastern, and my phone largely goes away. It's too kooky out there. And that's not even really necessarily the media's fault. Like you're saying, fake news. Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender who backstop Team USA to an Olympic gold medal, currently on a long-term contract with the Winnipeg Jets, has said he'd like to be traded to Florida, if that's to be believed. I mean, I don't believe this stuff anymore, which is another thing. I told you earlier, if you've been watching long enough, I said I opened my phone, there was NHL news here. Here's the news from Frank Saravelli. It's not even the news. It's trying to go with the flow as an old dog in this business, but breaking rumors. Like, what the hell even is that? But Frank Saravelli says, if the Edmonton Oilers can't get Bruce Cassidy, which, by the way, who was the guy that said they will? Not taking that tweet down. If they can't get Bruce Cassidy and they can't get Mike Babcock, brace for it, they're going to get Daryl Sutter. It's just an endless chasing of your tail. Guys, go watch tennis, go watch baseball, go watch CFL. Can you stop sitting there making stuff up? In the case of this, it's the Oilers' fault. It's the Oilers' fault. Yeah, and these guys are all laughing that they had to go check to see if it was true. I don't find it funny. I find it a massive waste of time. Just so you know, there is no more valuable commodity than our time. You can always make more money. They ain't making no more time. And I'm not wasting it on this crap. Kirk writes in from Toronto, says, hey, Rod, Toronto versus Chicago in the Calder Cup final. May catch a game at the C&E Coliseum. Steps from BMO. Isn't that the old Rico Arena? I'd like to see a hockey game in there. Thank you, Kirk, for updating us on the American Hockey League, because it ain't on my radar, which is unfortunate because I've got a lot of great friends in the league. There's just too much going on. I like this one. Wayne in Victoria, hello. He writes in, Rod, I think if Carolina wins tonight, they will win the series. But if Vegas wins, I believe they will win the cup. Very bold of you, Wayne. How bold. Oh, by the way, Overtime is coming up in the next segment, and it's brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, which we will be talking about more next segment. But I just saw in the break a post from our friend there, Randy. You want to see what Randy looks like? Go check out their Instagram, Overtime Hockey Lanes on Instagram. $20 an hour, and you can shoot all the pucks you want. Maybe it doesn't sound that fun. Go try it. Brent in the Bridge City writes, and he says, people should know by far it's useless paying attention to rumors. Well, one thing I do know, after having worked in the business for so long, everybody loves the rumors. They love the juice until they're the focus of it. And then you want to go cut people's heads off. We'll be right back on Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back for overtime. Today flew by, didn't it? Hope you had as much fun as I have. Getting ready for Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. If you can't get enough hockey, and it's going to end soon, check out our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I would love, like you, for them to expand because everybody needs to experience some Overtime Hockey Lanes. But until they do, just go check them out at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, $20 an hour. And you have a chance to win $500 in the RP Show Shooting Lane. Did we ever tell you about that? Hoping to get there for a live show this summer. Who knows? It's a moving target. Regarding the media and some fake media accounts causing so many hockey fans to chase their tails, including viewers of this show, David number 2 in Winnipeg writes in. He says, these guys that start rumors, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. You're 100% right. I mean, you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, some of it's going to stick. But I still have the intuition that Bruce Cassidy is going to be coaching the Edmonton Oilers next year, and that's why I'm not taking the tweet down. And between now and when they announce it, it's a whole bunch of tail chasing that I'm not in for. Brian in Winnipeg writes, and he says, Rod has it right. All the rumors and fake news are a waste of time. But the thing is, a lot of people really love it. I know a lot of people that really love it. I just don't. But you got to fill time somehow. Some of these shows, I mean, that's how this business has changed. You know, way back in the day, sports talk shows were all sports. But now you have all these, I won't name them, but team-specific podcasts just trying to stay relevant. And that's, hey, this Hellebuck, Sergei Bobrovsky thing that's going on in South Florida, we've never had more views at all, ever, on the social media channels of that podcast that I host in Florida. Like, it's big news there, but it's not here. We're on the air in Vegas. And in a lot of other places as well. But sports update, let's do it. The Knicks pulled off a comeback for the ages Wednesday night, rallying from a 29-point deficit to beat the Spurs 107-106 and take a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. That's the one thing that the NBA gets. The NFL doesn't really have to because the product's so good in the NFL. But just the spectacle and the hype. It sucked us all in. So many of our viewers have agreed with me on that. I got sucked in by the hype, and I haven't been let down. I had to tune in and see what was going to go on with Trump at Game 3, and it was a 3-ring circus as expected. And then last night, I mean, these panelists are a really big deal. There isn't another sport alive where I have the sound down during the game and then turn it up at halftime or the intermissions. I do that for the NBA to see what Barkley and Chuck have to say, or Shaq have to say. And that's Where I learned last night at halftime, second largest lead in NBA Finals history. Spurs leading the Knicks. I'm like, they can't blow this, can they? And then they did. A Canadian view of the World Cup. Canada's Secretary of State for Sport has dismissed concerns about the cost of co-hosting the FIFA World Cup and is hyping up the opportunity for Canadians to engage with the tournament across the country. Adam Van Coverden, a former Olympian, he was a rower, right? Told the Canadian press Wednesday he is excited for the event to finally start. Saying it again, as I mentioned it earlier this hour. Asking my sponsor, Bob, what do I need to know about the World Cup? Oh, this referee couldn't get into America because of Trump's visa regulations, and there's a protest in Mexico, and they're pissed off about ticket prices in Canada. And so far, not off to a good start. Not off to a good start is what I would say for the World Cup. And it's not even really the World Cup's fault. From the NFL, the Chiefs have added 2 years to Patrick Mahomes' existing contract, which will keep the two-time MVP in Kansas City through 2033 on a deal valued at $504.75 million, the NFL's first $500 million contract. As I say, the NFL doesn't really need to manufacture hype. They got it all as it is. God bless them. Who's looking forward to NFL season? Me, but we got CFL first. And it's going to be a very big day on Friday, as I say. I didn't even know until one of the recent chats I was having with my great friend, Dan Rashovich. He is in the Hall of Fame in Canada as a linebacker, but he played with the Oakland Raiders. I didn't even know in the 80s. He's going to, or was it the LA Raiders? It was the LA Raiders. Well, they got a home in Vegas now. But the Vegas viewers are really going to love our chat with Dan Rashovich on a Football Friday. He's going to come on and preview Week 2 in the Canadian Football League, but also tell some old stories. And Flores was the coach. You long-time, old-time Raiders fans are going to have to help me with the history on that. And by the way, Raz wasn't there long. He wasn't there long. But just so you all know, a little inside of the sports business here, so many of my friends that run alumni with leagues and teams, the criteria in most instances are if you ever cashed a paycheck from that team or league, you qualify as alumni. That's it. And that's why me as a broadcaster belong in many alumni organizations for that. If you cashed a check as a staff or a player, you're alumni. And Raz did with the LA Raiders. And in that brief time, he's got some great stories. Jeff in Toronto says, once the games start, people will stop talking about politics. Dag nabbit, I hope so. It kind of reminds me of the Paris Games. Remember all that? It's the media. I just want to reach out and... Remember how they were saying if you jumped in the Seine River, remember that, producer Corey? They were saying you're going to come out looking like a zombie. Didn't happen. And then the opening ceremonies and the drag Last Supper, that was like, I thought that was going to be the end of the world. Like, don't write in with 30 seconds to go and ask me about football rules. I'm not a referee. Tomorrow, Football Friday. Raz will be with us, and I'm thinking Mike Davis as well. Tune in to find out. Thanks to Murph. Thanks to Kevin the Medium, the Skycron crew. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody, on the RP Show.
That